Here comes the Nastygram.
Send a priest to save my soul, forget it.
Welcome back to the Nastygram RPG podcast. This is Into the Storm.
I'm Dan. I'll be playing Helios, the Immolator.
I'm John. I'll be playing Ariad Ein Ariat, the Elven Barbarian.
I'm Josh, and I play Sapush, the Druid.
And I'm Matt, playing Father Kyle Black, the Cleric.
And I'm your Dungeon Master, Jake, and this is Episode 5, Anchors Aweigh.
I apologize for things, transgressions. Wish I could say that I learned my lesson, but the bottle she's calling.
Thanks to the skill and courage of my new friends, I am once again a captain. We took the Furion ship, which I've since learned is called Sea Witch. It is slightly larger than the Maiden's Dream, and we are severely undercrewed. But we must press on. After a few days of repairing burnt lines and learning our new ship, we have once again made sail and are quickly approaching Fort Assan. There are curiosities aboard this ship. My 5 passengers have set themselves to the task of uncovering the mysteries of the Sea Witch, while my crew prepare for our journey. So, before we get started, you guys are all probably leveling up. So why don't we just go around the table? Matt, do you know what Kyle is taking for a move?
Yes. Trying to find it real quick. So Kyle is taking first aid. Cure Light Wounds is now a rope for me. So basically it's a cantrip if it was D&D. So it doesn't count against my limit of granted spells. And then because during the rest I was able to commune with Dio, I changed my spells since I don't need Cure Light Wounds anymore. I'll be taking Speak with Dead, and my second spell that I get will be Magic Weapon, so I get to add 1d4 damage using my weapon until I dismiss the spell. And I'll be keeping Detect Magic as my wizard spell.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say you get an extra spell now, so you should have 3 that you can memorize, essentially.
Correct. And my ability score I chose to put into Constitution, so my total hit points is 21.
Oh, nice. Okay. Josh, what's the push doing?
Sapush, keep it pretty basic, but thought appropriate. Form Crafter, when you take Shapeshift, choose a stat. You take +1 and going to rolls using that stat while shifted. The GM will choose a stat. 2, well, you take -1 and going to rolls using that stat while shifted. Just seems to make more sense.
Perfect.
So, I become a cat. I get +1 dex. And I added 1 point to my strength, which actually gives me a +1 in strength.
Cool. Yeah, and we had been talking about how that kind of should be a thing, so that's cool.
Especially with the crocodile. Like, you were a crocodile, but had
Right.
minimal strength gains.
Yeah. So now I have pretty decent physical stats. I have +1s across the board. And so if I take one that's more based on one of those attributes, it'll be a +2. So he can represent that pretty strong and then balance it out nicely. Like maybe he's a little bit slower, clumsier, not as tough.
Yeah.
Whatever.
John, what's Ariad doing?
Ariad is pretty simple too. I took Appetite for Destruction, which lets me take a move from fighter
Good album.
from fighter, bard, or thief class. I chose the fighter, and I took Ironhide, which gives him an additional armor. So he has 2 armor now. And I took Constitution, so I'm up a HP, and I now have a +1 in con.
What's your armor described at? Because I thought you were talking about how you wore plate and your armor's only 1. Is it?
I have chainmail. So I have I basically have the same as the fighter move where you ignore the clumsy tag on armor you wear. So presumably if there were plate, it would be clumsy, but I would ignore that tag.
Okay.
But I come with chainmail. So we can find some plate mail.
Like it. Dan, what's Helios doing?
Helios is the move he's taking is this Killing Fire, which adds the different tags to the Burning Brand. And I upped Constitution, so now I actually have a +2. I have 20 hit points now, and it also helps with the rolls for Burning Brand, which helps kind of control it. As we have seen, that is an issue.
Cool.
So it gives me more tags in order to kind of fine tune how the fire reacts.
All right. And it seems like Ryan's going to be probably out of the game for a while. Farley took a pretty bad hit from a cannonball. And despite some healing from Kyle, he's got some ongoing wounds and is basically bedridden on board the Sea Witch.
He has a peg leg. Definitely has a peg leg.
I also wanted to add a bond with Kyle.
Okay.
If I could. So Spush is going to add a bond to seeks to experience the divine through another.
Cool.
Through Kyle.
I like it.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. Good idea, Josh. Keeping in mind, like, adding new bonds and just keeping those in mind because they're a new thing for this game that we're not usually used to because we come from a D&D background.
The that painting, I presume, is weight 1. Right?
It actually says it's weight 0 in the book.
Oh, really? Okay. Right.
Yeah, it's
a small painting.
yeah. I mean, you could take the canvas out of the frame and just roll it up.
Yeah.
I think you should carry the painting with you at all times. Like, just
well,
have it.
I'm imagining it's like
I get
one
you.
of those really expensive small paintings.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, that painting might have some significance to your character. It's this sort of reminder of your lost homeland. Yeah, just something to keep in mind. There might be some.
I was thinking actually something specific to it that I can maybe go into if what you mentioned earlier, like the background as to how I got my power,
right,
comes up.
Cool.
I might reference that.
Oh, cool.
Painting.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ariad doesn't necessarily care about the value of it.
Mhm,
It's just a nice painting. He's an elf. He likes art.
Yeah.
What do you want?
I just realized that there is like a random treasure table. It's much different from D&D, but it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Right, well, let's jump into it. So you guys are on board the Sea Witch. As I said in the captain's little journal entry, they need a few days to repair a lot of burnt rigging.
I wonder how that happened.
and just learn the ship. It's a big ship. There's only 9 of them. That includes the captain. Over the course of the next days, as they prepare the ship, unfortunately, none of you have any sailing experience, so you can't really help at all. But they're working long days. They're working like 16 hours, like double shifts, basically. 6 on, 3 off at all times. And one thing that is different from your initial voyage is that the captain himself is doing just as much of that work as the other sailors. He's not spending any time in his captain's quarters, just chilling and looking at maps. He is a busy man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm helping like lug stuff around.
Oh, yeah.
obviously
There's
grunt
definitely grunt work for you guys to help out with occasionally, or just the kind of basic maintenance that, like cleaning and stuff, scrubbing all that blood out of the deck. But for the most part, you've got a few days where you're gonna be just anchored outside of White Sand to kind of explore the ship, and there's a lot going on here that's a little out of place. And I know at the end of the last part we didn't really get an opportunity to look too deeply into that stuff. So I'm kind of going to just turn it over to you guys to do as you wish. I know Matt, you had an idea for something you wanted to do with Kyle with a spell. So just to kind of set the scene, it's probably late evening after taking over the Sea Witch. The sailors are hard at work starting the repairs and getting the ship ready. You've all gone off to tend to your wounds, and you're making your way around exploring the ship. And Matt, we'll start with you with Kyle Black. What are you doing?
So as Sapush and I are still sitting up on deck, I'll look to him and say, well, I think it's time. Perhaps we can ask the captain a few questions.
The captain seems busy. They're running around.
No, not Our captain. The original captain.
Ooh. You can do this with Dio?
I can.
May I help? Be there?
I think we can all help. There's a few rules to the way it works, but this is the first time, so I'm not quite sure how it will go. So perhaps somewhere private. Let's gather Helios and Ariad and whatever's left of the former captain and head downstairs.
Oh, cool. You guys go to gather Helios and Ariad. What is Ariad doing when they come to find him?
I'm moving line up from the cargo hold up to the top.
Being a good worker bee?
Yeah.
Good. All right. And what is Helios doing?
Helios has recently burned something in the brazier up above.
Okay.
And he's just staring into the flames, standing in front of it.
You haven't actually followed those instructions. You're just kind of you're investigating that a little bit, though. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you see Helios on the deck. You go and get him. He's right there. Kind of snap him out of his fixation with the brazier. And then you make your way below deck and you find Ariad. Ariad, you lift up a crate that you were told to bring above deck. Mm-hmm. There's a whole stack of them. And you spook something when you do that. At first you think it's a rat, and it runs across your feet and behind some barrels, and then it pokes its head out, and you realize it's a cat.
Oh.
It's a big gray cat. You just see these eyes shining back at you. And
I kind of set the crate down and get on one knee. I have my armor's all off, and I've been laboring all day, and I kneel down and I kind of put my hand out. Hello there.
It hisses at you and then runs into a corner that you can't get to, and they bring you up above deck. Or Matt, where are you doing this ritual?
Well, I'm assuming it might be rather disturbing to somebody to see a corpse be partially reanimated and begin speaking. So I think we're probably going to some chamber below deck. Probably not the captain's quarters, but
make him feel at home.
I was going to say the captain's quarters might be good.
Put him in his bed.
Welcome back.
put a drink in his hand. And fucking weekend at Birmingham.
Or you could do a empty cargo hold. That's fine.
If you all feel that best, the captain's quarters would make him feel more comfortable. We can do it there.
Yes, let us.
Is this the magic of your god, Dio? Or is it the magic of the arcane?
This is all Dio, baby.
I see.
Is this not frowned upon in your world?
Helios looks at Father
Does it
Black.
make you feel sad?
Not sad, but
Matt, this is kind of bordering on necromancy, but maybe that's not a problem. What do you say? We're kind of making up this world. Is that just okay? Is it considered taboo or?
I don't think so. I would say in the Church of Dio it provides a way to speak with those who have passed to help ease the suffering that's left, is to talk to these people for unresolved business or to get a final goodbye or something like that. So I'd say it's probably a bit more spiritual and less evil, chaotic.
Cool.
In the land of elves, do you not frown at killing people, but you frown at talking to them after?
Well, we don't really kill anyone.
We killed everyone already.
Yeah. The mages, they're not allowed to deal in this kind of magic. It's forbidden.
Funny rules.
It feels like there is a lot more magic where I come from. I've only seen you with your fire and, Kyle with his god. Beyond that, in this storm, seems like your world is devoid.
It is perhaps rarer than the elven world.
This world may look great to you, but Trust me, there is much color behind the scenes. You'll see. I'm telling you, just one of these days, you, me, couple of mushrooms.
Oh, sounds lovely.
I think elf rules. If it grows on the ground, you can do it.
Yeah. Well, I can't say that I'm not excited to see what you can do with this body.
You need to hold its hand.
All right.
This is joke.
Oh,
So you guys have the body of the Furion captain laid down on his bed, Matt?
I'd say, well, he was gutted, so yeah, probably. He probably wouldn't sit up in a chair super well.
Okay, you've got him laid out in his bed. As I said before, his room is really nice. His bed is right up against these windows that look out over the aft of the ship and out over the water. It's dusk, so there's this nice orange sunset behind his bed, and you're all kind of standing in the room as the light starts to fail, and you light a few torches, or probably not torches, like lanterns around the room. And what do you do, Matt?
Before we do this, the way Dio explains it is there are 3 rules. Well, I get 3 questions to ask him. I don't know what to ask, I suppose. He'll answer to the best of his knowledge, or perhaps anything he's gained in death as well. Again, this is the first time, so I'm not entirely sure.
Helios says, may I make a suggestion?
I'd like all of us to make a suggestion.
What were they doing at Fort Assan?
Fair.
And how they create the storms. That brazier has arcane instruction.
Well, wouldn't that be the how? The arcane instruction, the sacrifice at the altar? I think maybe who called forth the storm? I mean, I'm sure the captain is powerful and all, but I don't exactly think this would be in his wheelhouse.
he didn't seem very powerful.
Well, you know.
Perhaps it is better to know that it is the sacrifice in the brazier that creates the storm itself. We do not have any specific knowledge that it does so.
True, if we find out who, we can find out how.
Sapush turns patiently towards Ariad, waits for Ariad to ask a question.
Perhaps it's worth knowing if they're planning to break the ceasefire, send word back to the kingdom, let them know, prepare.
Helios nods slowly.
Sapush says, I would like to ask the captain, how does it feel to be dead?
That may not be a question we wish to ask.
You do not wish to know this? The war is more important knowledge?
At this time, yes.
You do have a good point, Sapush. I would like to know that as well, but another time, perhaps.
I have a hard time with what you consider knowledge here.
There is immediate knowledge and there is philosophical.
Okay.
So the third question.
Well, you kind of asked 2 questions, Dan.
Yeah.
Who called forth the storm? Why did you drop off your men at Port, what was it?
Fort Assan, I believe, right, Jake?
Fort Assan?
Is that the same fort that we were supposed to be going to?
Yep.
Assan.
Yep. Assan. Yeah, that's the same fort.
So who created the storm?
Yep.
Why did you drop soldiers off at Fort Assan? And
What's our third one?
Ariad had said if they are intending on breaking the ceasefire and attacking Balaki. And if so, we should probably get word back to the kingdom.
Well, if he answers that in the second question, perhaps we can find out what it's like to be dead.
Ooh, this will be good. I'd like to learn philosophy.
okay, so I think you've kind of got an idea of what the questions are going to be. So Matt, why don't you tell us what this actual ritual is going to look like? Is it creepy?
Okay, so I will pull a chair up to the side of the bed, take a pouch out of my satchel, set it on the bedside, and kind of roll it open. And inside there's several different kinds of pipes and pouches, and I'll pull out a large obsidian and emerald Sherlock pipe. And then I'll reach in and pull out a small leather pouch that inside are some small crystals. Pull those out, place them into the pipe, pull a wick out of my pocket and reach over to a lantern and light it. And I'll sit there and take a couple of slow, deep drags off the pipe. And then I'll pull out my holy symbol of a goat's head. And I'll kiss it, sort of mumble out the window prayer to Dio, and then reach over and kiss the captain on the lips and blow the smoke into his lungs.
Awesome.
Sexy.
It's awesome.
And as I pull away, you can see the smoke sort of starts to pour, seep out of his wounds, and you can see this dull red light come forth into his eyes.
Sounds like a good guy thing.
Yeah, real good guy. Kinda. One last trip.
Badass. So yeah, you do that, and then he coughs.
Welcome back, Captain.
Thank you, that's one.
We have several questions for you.
3.
The storm that put out your ship, as well as the one the night before that ruined ours. Your ship was ready for it. Who has that power?
Joramor.
Your ship was light on men. It was easy for us to take it. Why did you drop them off at Fort Assan?
To capture Joramor.
Sidebar for a second.
Nice.
Huddle everybody off to the side and whisper.
So do we ask who is Joramor?
Don't forget, we could also ask how it feels to be dead.
I think you may be right, Father Black. We did not see him among the bodies.
So, yes.
I think so. I think it's good to know who we're looking for, at least. Sorry, Sabush.
Jake, have I heard of this person, Joramor?
No.
Okay.
So maybe try to throw a combo at him, and who is Joramor? What's he look like?
I don't know if your god will appreciate you trying to trick him like that.
It's less of a trick. It's, fudging the rules. Dio's, no, he's not. He's not gonna like that. He's not gonna like that.
Perhaps, Father Black, you could ask the captain where Joramor is. If the man still remains at the fort, that is one thing. But if he is aboard the ship, that is another.
Yeah. Okay.
Although he may not know where Joramor is, he sent the men there to capture him or whatever. But he may not know if they've done the job.
To his knowledge, he would still be at Fort Assan.
If he's the one who called forth the storm and he's not on the ship, that's a powerful motherfucker.
Not magic that I have ever seen before.
I've never heard of, but...
And if the Furions have access to it, they could do great damage.
So we go with who is Joramor. We could assume if he dropped his men off at Fort Assan to capture him, then he should be there.
I would imagine he would have gone back to get him if they had actually captured him, right? Not going to leave the men on shore.
Speaking of men on shore, there is the bosun. He may know.
Hunt him through the jungle. We're about to set sail. I was speaking to the captain.
We need to get to the fort as soon as possible.
Yes, well, he may not know we took the ship. May be easy to hail him to come back to the ship for safety. Third question before this is over. I don't know how long it lasts. I'll go back over to the captain's corpse and ask our third question. Who is this Joramor?
Not who, but what. Joramor is a god. As he speaks the word god, the last of the smoke comes out of his mouth and dissipates, and the glow fades away.
A
So
god.
Bush looks at the body and goes,
Helios looks at Father Black a little differently, never having seen him use magic like that or that strong. Reassesses him.
Well, a god they're searching for that caused the rains that they're trying to capture. Have you heard of anything like this at Fort Assan?
I know that you can make a sacrifice to the gods, and they may act on your behalf, sometimes with consequences far greater than you intended.
Cool. All right.
Jake, from
Cool
a total meta perspective, I wrote Jormor, and then in parentheses, I wrote the cat, because I definitely thought it was a cat, and then I crossed out cat and
Amazing.
wrote God.
They went there just to get the... So I'll let you guys mull that over a little bit. Is there... and who wants to go next? There must be things you want to do on the boat.
I want to try to get into that locked door.
I had a feeling
Yep.
that was Ariad's mission. So sometime later, John, Ariad is at the door. What are you doing?
I'm sizing it up to. I want to see if it's, if I think I can break it down. Beyond that, I may even ask Farley if he can teach me some lockpicking or help me pick the lock of this door.
Okay.
There's just a key
So,
hanging up on the nail. like
I
right next to
think
the door.
maybe discern reality to see whether or not I think it's
Cool. Go ahead. Give me a roll.
breakdownable.
I'm just going to burn down the door.
Oh, yeah, that'll
Of
work.
course.
Nailed it.
I'm sure.
Hey, Helios, you want to just throw a fireball at
I
it?
can control this. No, I can control this.
9 minus 1, so 8.
Okay. You have a question in mind? Or
Maybe what should I be on the lookout for?
okay. So you take some time to examine the door, make sure it's not trapped or anything like that. And you actually you go talk to Farley. He's kind of bedridden. He can't really get up, but you describe, he tells you a few things to look for to see if it's trapped. You go back and you look and there's nothing of note. You search the captain's quarters for a key thinking like, oh, maybe the captain's got a key.
Yeah.
To no avail. And then Farley actually does give you a few tips on how to pick a lock. You give it a try for a few hours and it's just not budging. At one point you turn and you see that Captain Cohen is watching you. He just came out of the captain's quarters, which are now his. And
I'm like swearing at the lock as I break a lockpick.
he says,
Ah, damn it.
did a bit of pilfering in my time. Let me take a look.
Oh, I kind of scoot aside.
He gets a lantern even though it's daytime and kind of directs it at the keyhole and starts messing around with the lock. And he spends about 15 minutes on it. And then he looks up, he's sitting on the floor, the deck of the ship, working on the lock. And he looks up at you and he goes, not going to happen. You may want to ask your companions. It might be more their area of expertise, but I think this door has some sort of wizard's lock on it.
Oh,
Try busting it down. If that doesn't work, that should confirm our theory.
all right. I like roll my shoulders and just I say, well, if I can't get this in a couple swings, then I'll see if Kyle or Helios will have something to say about it. And I get ready to bash it in.
You're gonna attack it with your sword?
No, I'm going to try to either kick it in or shoulder it in.
You give it a solid kick. Doesn't budge. And then you back up and you give it a running shoulder, and it hurts like hell. You feel your shoulder kind of pop, and you step back, and
This Furion says, certainly know how to make a door.
Cohen says, "That's a wizard's lock," and then he walks away.
Well, I kind of mutter to myself, I wish I had paid more attention in my school. And then I head out to find Helios and Kyle. Or Kyle.
All right. Where is Helios? At the brazier again?
Yeah.
Okay.
He spends a lot of time just staring.
Snap him out of his daze of staring into the flame.
I kind of stare up at you.
He walks around the brazier and down the steps to where the door is and looks at the lock. He says, "What is the problem?"
Well, can't pick it, and I can't kick it down.
The commotion of him trying to smash this door down has drawn your attention, Sapush and Kyle. You guys all kind of convene at the door and hear him say, "I can't kick it down."
Captain
Jake, I'm going to try to use my move handcrafted and make my hand start to glow that bright red and walk over to the lock and then try to reshape it till it's open.
Okay, John, what were you in the process saying? Sorry.
I say, as you're like walking over to it, I say, Captain Cohen seemed to think it was magical, some wizard's lock.
I turn and look over my shoulder at Father Black.
I'll be walking down the hallway. Probably came from the galley that spell took a bit out of me. I've got some hardtack and a mug of mead and a little thing of sugar, and I'm dipping the hardtack in the mead and then into the sugar and just like fun dip, sucking on it.
My hand sort of extinguishes and I say, "Father Black, can you tell the nature of this lock? Is it something more than what we see?"
I can try. I'll hold this. Pass the hardtack and the sugar to you. Take a big swig of mead.
I hold it awkwardly with one hand.
I grab the mead out of your hand, but leave the rest, and I take a swig of his mead.
So I'll look at the door, and then I will sort of, with some of the beer in my mouth, blow a raspberry at the door as detect magic to see if any of the like beer particles or foam or anything like get caught in some sort of magical field or anything like that.
Okay. Roll plus wisdom.
12.
Badass. All right. That's a complete success. Sure enough, the beer kind of sticks to the lock and the latch and starts to bubble. And it is certainly enchanted. The door is locked. There's been some sort of powerful spell cast on it. You've never seen this before. I mean, we've kind of established that magic is pretty rare in this world. This isn't the way the door is meant to be. This is someone put this enchantment on the door. You're not sure who was on the ship that isn't anymore, but your suspicion is that whoever it was has some sort of magic ability. It's going to take powerful magic to open this door.
You see how it bubbles like that? Yeah?
I do.
Sure.
That's because it was beer. But yeah, this is this fuck magical. I don't. This is beyond me. I'm not. I'm gonna take the hardtack and the sugar back. Go back to fun dipping.
Do you think there are windows on that room? Would they be magically sealed as well?
Yeah, maybe. I'd have to go and see. I'm not climbing on the outside of this ship, man.
Well, I like shrug. Might as well go take a look at least. I'm trying to think of like logistically the captain's quarters and then what would make up the rest of the area of that other quarter. Would it logically have a window?
You think that basically the captain's quarters and this quarter the doors are right next to each other. They're in the aft of the ship, and one is basically a port cabin and a starboard cabin. They're probably identical.
Okay.
So if they are identical, then it also has those large bay windows against the aft wall of the hull.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go outside and see if I can climb down and break in.
So you climb up on the upper deck where the wheel is, and you look over the railing, and you can see the windows. There's no like little, balcony or anything like that. But if you got a rope, you think you could swing down and crash through the window if you wanted to.
I think
Which
that'd
sounds pretty exciting.
I think to myself, oh, that sounds like it'd be fun.
All right.
I
Meanwhile, while you're fashioning
my
you're tying a line to the wheel and getting ready to dive over the aft of the ship, Helios, you're still at the door, and you heat your hand up again, trying to do this, and it doesn't really work. But you think back to some of your studies, and you remember hearing about something similar to this, and you think that essentially you could make a bargain with the magical forces at hand. You can unlock this door, but in your future, a door that you need to be opened is going to be locked.
Helios is just sort of staring at it for a while, thinking about this bargain, thinking about the trade. And he turns to who's still at the door? Is Sapush, are you still there?
Spush never showed up. You guys don't know where he is.
Yeah, right. He's like just trolling off the back of the boat.
I'd still be there.
So
He
it's
turns
you
to
and Kyle.
I turn to Father Black. I can make an exchange with the fire. I can make a barter to open this. I put my hand on the lock.
Don't go burning the fucking door down. Don't exchange solid door for burned door. Bad trade. Bad trade.
Helios kind of gives the closest thing you've seen to like a smile. He kind of smirks.
And then you hear a crash.
I
John,
think Ariad has found another way in.
You grab this line and jump off the back of the boat. You swing out and then smash through the window and into this room. As you suspected, it is the mirror image of the captain's quarters. But why don't you give me I guess it would be Defy Danger.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you want me to take damage.
No, give me a Defy Danger. Okay. This is going to be a dexterity thing.
Dex, okay. That's a fiver.
This is where Sapush rescues you in the water. Sapush has learned whale form.
You crash through the glass, and you do land in this room, but you are they're just shards of glass,
and I can't stop myself.
Skin,
yeah.
And you keep going, and you smash right into the door, and it swings open. And you're like literally laying on the ground, bleeding, when the door swings open.
It was a pull, not a push. Oh, Jesus.
Well,
John, take a D6 plus 2.
2 then. Actually, I'm not wearing my armor because I specifically said I'm not wearing it.
I believe
what a champ.
Broke
so 4.
Whatever enchantment lay upon the room.
Did I heal up?
See,
after time to max? Is this off max?
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay,
Just mark
I'll just
it
mark
for now.
for you.
See, you don't always got to go making deals with the fire.
Oh, you got any of those healing potions, Kyle?
No. Well, no. I got you though, bud. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick my finger in my mouth and give you a wet willy as cure light wounds.
Okay.
That's 6.
Okay, so I heal that up.
Assuming that none of you do anything crazy to start a fight within the next few scenes, you will have an opportunity to heal up.
Okay. How does that work in Dungeon World?
If you spend an entire day doing nothing, you can heal up. If you have a debilitating effect, which is something that I should start using.
Yeah, the minus ones.
Yeah, it's -1 to an attribute, basically.
Yeah.
Then you need to spend 3 days. So that's probably what Farley has right now. Is he probably has a few debilitating effects.
Yeah.
If Helios stays next to a fire overnight, he heals full hit points.
Ooh,
That's cool.
nice. Yeah, if you just camp, you heal. I think your con bonus or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to check that. But
Well, I can take
you
one for
should have,
rolling a 5. Oh, I got
you should have a day to rest and
if you want to give me
get
scarred.
yeah, you can be scarred for now.
Yeah, why not?
But I think can Cure Light Wounds heal debilitating effects?
It can remove one. Oh, that was the potion.
That's a potion.
Yeah,
but that was either
Cure
or.
Light Wounds at your touch. Wounds, scab, and bones cease to ache. Heal an ally you touch for 1d8 of damage. So it doesn't say anything about actual debilitating wounds. That was only healing potion.
So take a debilitating wound instead of the damage because honestly, the damage is just going to get
Irrelevant,
healed
yeah.
because you guys are going to spend a day resting.
Yep.
And you're in the cabin. Like I said, it's a mirror image of the captain's cabin. The decorations are a little more generic, like it's just made to accommodate whatever diplomat or important person is on board. But the belongings are strange. There's not much in the room. It looks like whoever was here took most of their things with them. But there are some clothes and there are some books. And unlike the captain's room, this looks like the room of a wizard. There's a writing desk just covered with notes, and those notes aren't in any normal language. They're just weird symbols and arcane writing, research notes of some sort. And you all kind of move around the room and start looking through everything. And John, you look at the clothing and you notice something strange. You see a pair of boots, winter boots, boots that have no place in this kind of climate. I mean, you guys are essentially in the Caribbean, and someone brought
in the fort
someone brought their
isn't much
duckies.
colder, right?
Yeah. The fort is further south from where you are.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
even more tropical.
Yeah. So it's a weird pair of like high fur boots.
Seems like this person packs pretty heavy for a Caribbean or a tropical trip here. I kind of like kick the boots with my foot.
Helios says, it could indicate where the man is from.
To bring them all the way here, though? Not much room on a ship.
It is unusual.
Helios, you're looking through those documents on the desk, and you see in several places the name Jorah Moore.
Does it look like a signature, or does it look like a...
No, it looks like this is
a reference.
References to Jorah Moore.
To the god.
And as you start to look through in a little bit more detail, you see like sketches of idols and descriptions of what seems to be a native god, a god of these islands, a god of the storm.
It looks like a compilation of research on it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
The picture of the idol, the carving of Jorah Moore, it looks like a giant serpent with wings.
Helios, sitting at the desk, looking through the papers, looks up at Father Black and at Ariad and says, as the captain said, Jorah Moore is a god that they were searching for, a god of these islands, a god of storms. They must have found something, perhaps even that brazier above, that has given them this power. But there must be something else at the fort, something they're looking for.
Well, they said they were looking for him, this god. Are gods in your world, do they walk amongst you? Does Dio walk in flesh?
He has been known to visit those of us who are worthy enough, but Dio is always there. He is wherever I seek him.
So you think maybe there's stories of gods coming down among people, but it's not Forgotten Realms where you just might run into a god at the market.
Helio says, I have read through some religions. After I heard the voices myself, I was curious, but I have never heard of this Joramor. This is something that they have been studying and searching for some time.
Dan, you don't think it's weird that you haven't heard of Joramor, because it does appear to be part of the religion of these islands, and none of you are really familiar with this part of the world. It'd be like there's no reason for you to know about this weird religion.
An obscure,
obscure,
Hindu god versus...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
It's not like, it's so ancient that no one knows. It's just not... You're out of your element is all.
Ariad says, how many gods roam your world?
Helio shrugs.
How many roam yours?
There are the 5. And the one above him. The elder. The ones who brought us to our world. And see over us. Give us magic. But they do not walk amongst us.
Well, it would seem that Joramor is now here, or his presence has been felt. And it is terrible.
Meanwhile, what the hell is Sapush doing?
Being a cat?
When you spend time in contemplation of an animal spirit, you may add its species to those you can assume using shapeshifting. Sapush has not spent a lot of time in any domesticated human environment.
Cool.
So he probably has never had much time around a conventional house cat. So he is studying this. And the way he does it is very unobtrusive. He has, I think, for even animals that aren't familiar with him, he probably has a pretty disarming presence. So he still in his human form just follows the cat around for hours.
All right, cool.
And then starts to he takes on cat kind of poses.
I just imagine a sailor coming down, getting some rope, and so pushes just
and scampers away, chasing after rats. But he's going to spend this time learning the form of the cat, and then we'll spend time kind of learning to be a cat. It's like a whole day. Okay. And then eventually we'll also talk to this cat, and he's going to ask about what's things have been like on the ship, what's been happening.
When you talk to the cat, are you going to take the form of a cat?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after a day of shadowing the cat and watching it, it mostly sleeps. Anyone who has a cat knows they really aren't that interesting. Mostly sleeps and hunts rats. And you follow it around and you start acting like it, and eventually you take the form of a cat. So as I said, this cat is big, long-haired, gray cat. And what do you look like as a cat?
As a cat, I think Sapush is medium-sized, not giant, short-haired, patchy colors, kind of whites and a very, very light gray.
Okay.
And very piercing ears.
We've just, by the way, we've just veered off into a really weird subgenre of role-playing.
Furry.
Oh, boy.
So pushes for the furry crowd.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do I look like a cat to you?
Okay.
All nimbly bimbly?
The cat was kind of slinking around in the cargo hold, and then it cocks its head towards you and regards you now in the form of a cat. You think it knows that it knows what you are, knows that you're the same thing that's been following it all day. It looks at you, it tilts its head, and it says, "What are you?"
I am Sapush.
Greetings, Sapush.
Hello.
My name is Admiral Purrington.
And as cats meet new cats, it immediately hates your guts and wants you dead.
I sense that this is your ship.
You are wise, Sapush.
I request permission to come a purd.
Oh my good lord! Please make this stop. Please.
Admiral Purrington lays down and starts licking his paw and cleaning his face. And
Matt has the right idea. He's rolling a J.
He's like, okay, we're doing fucking cap-ons now. I'm fucking roasting this thing.
I'm getting out of here, man.
Sapush says, I would like to spend time on this ship, but I will not say it is yours, and then I will go.
very well.
Yes.
These humans, they smell different from the others.
Sapush is trying to study and learn its kind of way of communicating. Yes, these humans are different. They are more to be friends with. They will give milk. I would like milk. Would you like milk?
Yes.
What about the other humans that were here? Which ones were the most different? Were there some that were strange?
Yes. One of them didn't like me.
This one, where did he go? Did he leave at a big rock house?
Painted skin. He adorned his skin. Quite odd.
Do you know what name it gave in their tongue?
They called him Trinas.
Trinas, yes. And when did he leave?
Probably does. You don't think he has a good idea of time passage? But he says some time ago with the loud ones, the soldiers.
I will be off your ship soon, and I thank you, Admiral.
You are dismissed.
Dear Lord.
I slink away.
Nice.
Actually, I catch my first rat, and I proudly bring it to Kyle, and
Okay.
I put it on his bed, in his bunk.
I like it.
It's real cat shit there.
All right. And Helios, once again at your brazier, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm gonna make an offering, and the will of my offering will be for fair winds.
Okay. What are you going to offer?
Does the arcane script mention anything?
It just mentions that you have to essentially get the fire burning, stare into the flames, and then recite this sort of mantra, which you know what, Dan? There's a roll called Spout Lore.
Okay.
Why don't you roll that?
Sure.
And I'll tell you what you can kind of learn from that mantra that might be in a weird language that you don't recognize, or maybe you do.
What's interesting, I almost took it too. There's a move for you can take for second level for immolators, which gives you the wizard move ritual. Would have been perfect for this. But yeah, I'll roll Spout Lore.
So that's roll plus an int.
7.
Just
made it.
7 to 9. The GM will only tell you something interesting. It's on you to make it useful. Okay.
Okay, that's different.
Oh man, they don't make this easy for you.
No.
There is a blank space in the mantra that you are supposed to fill in, but you're not sure what you're supposed to fill it in with.
I put my hand into the fire.
Okay. All right.
to sacrifice flesh, essentially.
Okay. And you say the mantra?
Mhm.
And what do you fill the space with? Your request for fair wind?
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't do anything. Nothing happens.
Interesting.
I mean, it fucking burns, but
It does burn.
wait, do you use your fucking dangling necklace hand when you say that, or your
My
good?
good one.
Oh, your real hand.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So again, we'll do a condition here.
Mhm.
Shaky?
Is that one of them?
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
weak?
Let's do shaky. So that's to dexterity.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. That burn is going to take some time to heal,
Sure.
but it didn't seem to have any effect.
Cool. Totally worth it.
You learned something.
I did.
You give it some time. You bandage your hand, and then you come back to it sometime later.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Helios lights it again, and the blank in the script. Can I tell? Can I infer anything that it's asking for, like a name or like? Do I think that
that
if
would be useful?
yeah, I will stare into the flames and then recite the words again with the word Joramore in the blank space.
Okay. All right. So you're staring into the flame, you say these weird words, and you insert the name Joramore into that space. And suddenly, as you're looking into the flames, you see an image of a cavern with walls made of ice. And near the center of this cavern, you see this serpent, this winged serpent, and it appears to be chained. There's these enormous chains on the ceiling and floor and attached around its neck and around its coiled, scaly body. And it writhes, trying to get loose, but can't seem to. And then the image fades. And when the image fades, you realize that what you just saw was happening somewhere now.
The imprisonment of a god.
Mm-hmm.
Helios steps back from it, watches the flames can die out, and he thinks about the notes that he saw on the wizard's desk. Was there anything that referenced the fort or the location of it?
You think about it for a moment, and then you make your way back to that room, and you remember something that you saw. It's a letter. Looks like it was intercepted from one of your soldiers, a Belakai soldier, that was meant to be sent home. And it's a letter that explains that the miners found something strange while digging. Some claim they saw a dragon in the cavern that was unearthed. But the cavern has been closed off, and no one is allowed to return until the soldiers have cleared it of whatever inhabits the place.
I look down at those winter boots and think about the cavern of ice. What time of day is it?
It's afternoon.
Afternoon. I leave the quarters and I go in search of Father Black.
Where does he find you, Matt?
I'm probably walking around the ship, rather not frantically, but sort of searching around, looking for Sapoosh, and I have a dead rat in my hand, kind of muttering under my breath. I don't understand. What?
Helios says, Father Black.
Yes, but what happened to your hand?
I tried to commune with the other.
I'll drop the rat and walk over and hold your hands and kind of gently take it into mine and look up at you and slap you in the face. Stop with the fire so much.
You see Helios grit his teeth, and for a second he looks really fucking angry. And then his whole body like tightens, and then you see him slowly start to relax as he's just staring at you.
When the rat drops to the ground, Katsapush bolts out from the darkness to the side, picks it up, and then runs back into the darkness carrying the rat.
I'll bet you that was fucking him.
Excuse me?
Nothing. Listen.
I need to speak to you about what I saw. In fact, I should speak to everyone. Have you seen Sapush?
You just saw Sapush. There's the blur.
It takes you some time to find Sapush, but eventually the four of you meet in the galley with Captain Cohen as well. You think he should probably be part of this conversation. You have made sail at this point. You've been on the ocean for a few days. Before we get to this whole conversation, was there anything else that people wanted to do on the boat in the meantime? Just kind of convene and share your knowledge?
Yeah.
Cool.
I think so.
All right. So you're in the galley with the captain, and Helios has kind of called everyone together because he has something to talk about. And the captain pours some drinks. And go ahead, Dan.
Helios sort of paces back and forth a little bit in the galley hall in front of where all of you are seated. And he says, I made an offering to the brazier. I made an offering to see or understand Joramor, this god. One thing I do know about the gods is that most want to be seen, most want to be heard. And what I saw, Father Black, I wanted to ask you, have you ever heard of a god that has been captured, bound, against its will?
There are stories of them, but mostly legends or tricksters pretending to be gods.
The idol that we saw in the notes, Helios says, the notes in the wizard's quarters, there was an idol, a snake with wings. It's that same creature that I saw bound and chained in a cavern of ice. What's more is that a note, a letter from the Balakai soldiers was in the possession of the wizard aboard this ship, and it spoke of something in the mines, something below the fort. And I think it's this that they went in search of, these soldiers. I do not know what they aim to do by freeing a god. Perhaps simply curry its favor, or perhaps it's the right thing to do. Do you have thoughts on it, Father Black? On the nature of gods?
Well, I never really gave it much thought. I suppose, well, Dio may know more. He could help to answer some of our questions, but he is less direct, I'd say.
Sapush, have you encountered the gods in your walks of life?
No, I have. Sapush kind of catches himself. No. I have not encountered gods. I learned more of them from Kyle, but not the way that you see gods. It is different. Spirits, maybe, you would say.
Helios nods. I sometimes think it is the spirit of fire that I commune with.
Yes, there is essences in nature, both in creatures and in what humans think of as not alive. Even the earth, the water, they have spirits, but these things are not chained or not the people that gods seem to be.
Perhaps this wizard made a deal with this winged snake.
So, guys, just to refresh your memory a little, Kyle's second question to the dead captain was, why did they go to Fort Assan? And the answer was to capture Joramor.
Capture.
capture. Not so friendly.
I do not know if this helps now, but I learned the wizard you say that was on the ship, his name was Trenas, and he left with the soldiers, I think at the fort.
Dan, you've heard the name.
I have.
He
Okay.
was, I think it is tattoos cover his body, and he was strange and powerful, maybe cruel.
Helios nods. I have heard the name before. He is a man that the Bellici have been hunting for a long time. Perhaps one of the few reasons that the Faerine have not fallen.
Perhaps they can use this god as a weapon then.
If
Is that
they
possible?
If they go to capture?
Cohen says, aye, one man's God is another man's devil. We've already seen what this thing is capable of. Imagine if they unleashed it on the Navy.
The war would never stop.
If this storm was created by that god, Ariad shrugs, how would it know to cast it upon this very ship we're on? Have they already captured it? Are they already directing it?
Jake, based on how much time I've spent with the altar, do I think it's an altar specific to Joramor?
No.
Okay.
It kind of clicks when he says that, when he asks that question, you realize, you think the altar is actually just a way to communicate.
Okay.
And chances are that there's another one on the other side that you are looking through.
Got it.
Which
Helios
means-
kind of, his eyes widen a little when you say that, and Helios says, I have heard of scrying mirrors.
Oh, yes. Those are commonplace. We use them to talk between cities.
Everyone's got one in their living room.
I think that is what the purpose of that altar aboard the ship. And they have made requests of Trinas,
He was the one who cast a storm upon us.
and he is powerful indeed.
Cohen says, if this Trinos, as you say, if he truly has the power to make storms, this is a weapon that will change the tide of battle. We need to do whatever is necessary to put an end to that.
Well, if he's the most hunted man in Bellici, then perhaps we can be the hunters.
Would it not be more concerning that he has the power to trap a god?
I think, Father Black, that he intends to possess the god, to bend it to his will. I don't believe he's reached it yet. Or perhaps he has, and that's what that storm is.
There's a sudden crash as you all abruptly, the ship abruptly stops and you all get jostled around. Things start falling. When it kind of ends, the captain stands up unevenly and says, "We've run aground," and we'll stop there.
Worst captain ever.
Bad with boats! We're terrible with boats.
Dude, I really like that section.
Police car and a screaming siren, pneumatic drill, ripped up concrete.
Thank you guys for listening to another episode of our Into the Storm arc. If you're liking what you hear, tell a friend about it, write a goddamn review on Apple Podcasts, do whatever you can do to help us out and get the word out there. In the meantime, check us out online. We are at Nastygram on Instagram and Twitter. And the best place to interact personally with all the cast is at our Facebook page, the Nastygram RPG Lounge. Our intro music is by Wilhelm Scream. Scores once again by Adrian von Ziegler, and some new stuff from an awesome Finnish composer, Antti Martakainen. If you guys are missing Dean on this arc, go ahead and hop over to LSG Media. Listen to all their great stuff. He's on it all, libertystreetgeek.net. Thanks again, guys, and we'll catch you next week.
Days of speed and slow time Mondays. Listen now with rain on a boring Wednesday. Watching the news and not eating your tea. Freezing conflict and death on the walls. I said that's entertainment. That's entertainment.
That's nasty.